Hello, welcome to the Sutliffian Report. Today, we have some shocking material for you, and we'll get into that. We're going to talk about a woman's permission to leave the home. Oh, boy. And what can happen if she refuses to listen? Ooh. But as this is a Christian show, we always start with a reading from God's Word. So let's start there today. And today I want to read Isaiah 9, verses 6 to 7. Considering Christmas is coming up and it will be here before the next show, I think this is so important. For unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Now, the first verse, verse 6, here is a surprise, in that it is in the beginning stated in the present tense. Matthew Henry connects this to Revelation 13:8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. We should keep in mind that since Jesus is God and God does not change, he as the Son pre-existed since the foundation of the world. This explains the use of past tense, or I should say present tense. This is the joy of catching your errors. All right, when you type. Okay. It also explains the prophecy given in the Garden of Eden after the fall in Genesis 3:15, giving reference to a woman giving birth to one greater than mankind. God has always existed as more than one. He has always been triune. The titles which come next reference that exactly, that God is much more than we grasp. He is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The next verse, verse 7, is a reference to the actions of this Prince of Peace. The Lord God, in the person of the Son, the Lamb which was slain, has such love for us that he hastens to do this work. This zeal may seem slow in action to you and I, as we exist but as a passing moment in time. When our concept of time is so fleeting, this is difficult to grasp. We are looking for this peace while we live amidst wars and rumors of wars. We know that peace through Christ, while knowing the world is not yet peaceful. Harry Ironside states this is because Jesus has yet to sit on the throne of David. He's now sitting on the right hand of God the Father. Think about that. What is coming? We're going to get more into Isaiah as time goes on. I'm slowly getting to this. This is not as easy as I thought it would be covering. I'll be honest, that it's a little bit harder. And I did not expect it to be as difficult going through and digging deep. But for me, this is not an easy topic. All right. I did want to share with you something I heard in respect to Shariah. And I want to play something for you. I'll just share it with you in just a second. Out of Britain. Now, I'm picking on somebody who decided to, open his big mouth and share with the world his own thoughts, which I think is, it's good that we hear people tell these things. We should have people share share what they believe is true. That helps us. We need to be able to, and what's going on here? And trying to do things, and I don't know what's going on with this. Oh, joy of joys. Had a moment a few minutes ago, and hopefully this will not happen again. My mouse is working fine, my clicker is working fine, and the screen is frozen. That makes no sense. hopefully, something is wrong. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Oh, the joy. Oh, the joy. Oh my gosh. All right. They say if you're doing something right, you end up with problems. Well, we'll try this one more time. I don't know what's going on today. Had a couple of difficulties. I wanted to share out this gentleman. He's a British Muslim, former Hizb Tahrir official, which basically means he works for terrorists. And he's advocating for the establishment of a caliphate and Sharia law in Syria. Well, we've already heard that the leader of Syria now wants to establish Sharia. Keep this in mind. And then I'm going to share with you another update which will shock you. And again, we're talking about this before we get into things because we're going to be talking about Sharia. And then I want you to put on your thinking caps as you listen to this. And let's try that one more time. Because I took so long last time, it had to start over again.
This is the time to advocate for Islam, because those colonialists and the agent rulers, the Arab rulers and Muslim rulers who are trying to conspire against the people in Syria, what do they have to offer? The West is bankrupt morally, economically, politically. Islam has to be that which we look to solve the problems in this land. And if we don't advocate, if you don't advocate for Islam now, when will you ever advocate for Islam? Islam in this land means the Khilafah system. That is the system, the Islamic system, which when it rules the society, the Muslims appoint a Khalifa with one contract with him. We appoint you for you to implement the Sharia over the society. That is what establishes justice. That's what looks after Muslims and non-Muslims. The Umayyad Khilafah had its capital in Damascus, and non-Muslims thrived under it. That is what creates a just economy. That's what creates justice, so you don't have another Sednaya. We have a duty now to be part of this continuing struggle. There's some not great signs, but there's positive signs of uprising. The not great signs, they're trying to steal it. We have to be there in the struggle, advocating for Islam, advocating for Khilafah. With the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, absolutely this land will return to Islam under the Sharia and the Khilafah, inshallah. So we'll have a part to play, absolutely.
Now, there's another thing out there that I think is important. Let me just see if I can pull it up. I just had it on my screen. Let's see if I can pull it up. I was kind of surprised. There was a new article out there. See if I can pull this up a little easier than I thought. The new article is about, let's see if I can find it again. I just had it up, and let's see if it's still in my email. I kind of sit there shocking looking at it. It was about in Syria about bars opening, and I don't know if you've heard this. My question to you is, yeah, here we go. I'll put this up. And I want you to think about if you are running a Sharia-run country and you don't want, people playing games. You want to make sure everybody toes the mark. Would you let everybody go to the bar first so you could find out who wouldn't? If you could find out who wouldn't be obeying Sharia. So you're going to take out all these people that show up at the pub. Now, this is what it could be. This is an opportunity for lambs to reveal themselves for the slaughter. So, again, this is actually a pub owner, a bar owner, serving customers on December 13th. Oh, think about that. It says citizens of Damascus largely celebrated the fall of Mr. Bashar al-Assad's hated regime with joy after 13 long years of brutal civil war. But the city's drinking holes did have one concern. Rebel army that overthrew the former leader is led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, an Islamic group that some drinkers feared would forbid the sale of alcohol. They will. For 4 days after HTF fighters entered the city, pubs and liquor stores remained shut. But no crackdown emerged, and now venues are tentatively reopening. They're cautiously reopening. And Mr. Safi, the landlord of the Papa Bar and the winding alleys of the old city, wants everyone to calm down and enjoy a drink or two in the normally busy Christmas season. Wait a minute. In Islam, do they celebrate Christmas? No. Are you allowed to greet somebody and say Merry Christmas in Islam? No. So this is an opportunity. This is insane. Wow. This is the second time, and I pay for extra internet, so this doesn't make any sense, what I'm seeing. So I don't know what's going on. It appears, I don't know what's going on, that the people who play God with what you're teaching, they get upset. Well, all I was doing was talking about what is actually playing. Now, I was saying that Muslims are setting us up for failure, setting the Syrians up for failure. They're opening the bars in Syria. I believe that since the group, even my mic went off just a second ago. This is just nutty. I believe the person taking over in Syria are setting people up to be caught and slaughtered. This is crazy. We're going to see, since they've opened the bars, it's a good chance that they're waiting to see who to take out next. We have to be careful. People are celebrating. Well, they're going to be moderates. If the leader says he wants to implement Shariah, and the video, I don't know if you heard the video. Did anybody hear the video that I played? Did everybody hear the video? Larry, did you hear it? Ed? I don't know if it played. Have to say, this is so important. They're saying they want a caliphate. They're not just saying they want Sharia, they're saying they want a caliphate. So if ISIS has a caliphate again, because this is what their goal is to make all Muslims obey the caliphate. Think about this. Wherever you are in the world today, if they have a caliphate and the caliph can make a statement, then technically all Muslims must obey him. This is scary. And I don't think people understand how bad and how dangerous this is. Well, let's just talk about the women today. So we're going to get into how the women, we'll start there. How are women supposed to be treated under a caliphate? And we're supposed to be talking about nikah. And this is going to get nutty. I started with a picture here of a woman asking, may I go grocery shopping? May I leave the house? This is supposed to be a wife. Think about this. Can you imagine your wife asking you, can I have permission to leave the house? May I go shopping? May I go to my friend's house? Like you would ask, like a child would ask. And you treat your life to the point where she can't go any place without permission. This is Islam, and we're going to prove it to you today. This is kind of, like I say, it's kind of nutty. All right, and if anyone wants to join me, great. I could use somebody else on the panel today, but I put the link in there. You're welcome to join. All right, I'll start. The wedding feast, M9.1. The wedding feast is a sunnah whose time never expires, though it is recommended to be after intercourse. Wait. Whose time never is recommended after intercourse. So their wedding feast takes place after they have sex. Usually you don't consummate them. I mean, you get in most faith structures, you get together, you have a ritual. They say you're married. Then you have a little party, and then you sneak off to your private place and enjoy your spouse. No, notice this. Very bluntly stated. Recommended after. It's kind of brazen, huh? The sunnah is for the meal to consist of a sheep or goat, a shah, though it is permissible to serve whatever food is readily available. How about pork? Think we get away with that one? Add whatever food is readily available. So I decided this week I would spend a lot of time looking exactly at what is available for hadiths, and this is one of the reasons I don't have all the translations up. But I spent a lot of time looking at the hadiths and at the Quran verses that would back up these passages, just to see if I could find more than the average bear. Well, we have Sunan Abi Dawud. According to Abd Allah bin Umar, who reported the Prophet as saying, when one of you is invited for a wedding feast, he must attend it. Now, I found this kind of a weird statement. Get invited to a wedding. I mean, most people go to a wedding when you're invited. Great, I get that. But you know what I also found on these statements? I found a hadith that said, you get the worst food at weddings. Really, would people go to wedding feasts if you got the worst food? I'm just kind of surprised at seeing that. If you've gone to a wedding recently, you'll see, at least in Western world, you'll see that they charge a huge amount per plate, and it's not something you would find the worst food at. Maybe in Islamic culture, maybe they do serve you the worst food. Not even in Jewish culture. No, it would never happen. I don't know what a culture that would serve you the worst food at a wedding. But pre-Islamic, Islamic, they want everybody to run away. I guess that's what you do. All right, here we go. M9.2. And I cannot believe we're here already. This is going faster than I thought. Okay, M9.2. It's obligatory for whoever is invited to attend, and whoever does not respond to the invitation has disobeyed Allah and his messenger. Okay, because they already said you have to go, whether fasting or not. If one attends, it's recommended to eat, though not obligatory. Of course, it's the worst food. You don't want to eat it, right? It's not a burdensome for the host. Then it's best to complete one's fast. Though if this would weigh on the host, but who cares? If you're going to tell everybody you're fasting, that's on you. All right? The goal here with fasting in the Christian, Judeo-Christian world, you don't tell anyone you're fasting. But in Islam, it's always about telling people how much better you are than them. So this is the issue. Oh, you got to tell everybody you're fasting so you're fast, so you're more holy. No. Yeah, that's an insult. In most cultures, it would be an insult not to eat the food that's provided for you, and especially at a wedding feast. I mean, you have a dietary restriction. Yeah. Why are you showing up to a wedding feast if you're going to? Yeah, this is stuff you have to think about. Again, it says it's not only obligatory to respond to such an invitation if the following conditions are met. A, that the host not have invited the rich to the exclusion of the poor. Okay. All right. That the invitation be for the first day of the wedding feast, for the host celebrates it for 3 days. No, I'll be honest, I don't want to go to a party that lasts 3 days. Anybody here want to go to a party that lasts 3 days? I really don't. I like the idea of going home. Well, it's not so bad, though, if they provide you housing for those 3 days. So this is the other part to think about. Are they providing that? Yes. In general, they will. Here we go. Next part. That the motive for attending not be fear or the host or desire for the prestige of having attended. Okay. Not be fear of the host. Again, if you're going, it's only obligatory to respond. Again, that the motive not be a fear of the host. Wow. So your host could be scary. Why would you go? You want to be threatened? That no one will be there who will hurt one. Would you really go to a wedding because Muhammad said you have to show up, or the Shariah said you had to show up, if you feel like you're going to be killed because you have to go because you're invited, because it's a wedding feast? This leaves you asking so many stupid questions. Why would you show up if you fear getting hurt? It's an excuse not to go. Okay, last excuse here. And there will be nothing blameworthy, such as flutes. Oh, so they can't have musical instruments. Alcohol, wine, silk-covered sitting mats. These are all things that are not Islamic. Pictures of animate life on the ceiling, walls, upright pillows. Or draperies or clothing inscribed with something blameworthy and so forth, since a person who attends in the presence of such things is accepting. So they're saying you can't go to a wedding feast, basically, if it is for non-Muslims. Oh. So Muslims are really not allowed to go to a non-Muslim wedding. Are you catching this? This is their ruling on it, the obligation to attend. If you're going to have a non-Muslim type thing, you're going to have music you can't go. They're playing music. Oh, and it has instrumentation. You can't be there, Muslims. You can't even accept the invitation for your non-Muslim friends. Okay, not a surprise. Oh, wait a minute. You're not allowed to be our friends. That's what the Quran tells us. Well, let's take a look here. I was talking about this worst food thing that's in the hadith. This is Sunan ibn Majah. The worst of food is food of a wedding feast to which the rich are invited and the poor are not. Whoever does not accept an invitation has disobeyed Allah and his messenger. Well, if they're going to serve me the worst food, do I really want to show up? Something to think about. Strewing sweets and the like around at marriage agreements or picking them up is not offensive, but it's better not to. Now, to be honest, when I read this, I was wondering if this was a perversion of something else. And no, they're actually talking about sugar. They're actually talking about sweets. I was surprised. I didn't know what to think reading this. Strewing sweets around at marriage agreements or picking them up is not offensive, but it's better not to. Okay, so marriage agreement. That would be the paper you sign before you get married, right? How about this one? M10.0. Relations between a husband and wives. M10.1. It's obligatory for both husband and wife to treat each other well. Now, pay close attention to this on the left. It says Quran 2:228. Women deserve the like of what they are obliged to give in kindness. This is what it states, right? And for each to give the other what they must. Really? Meaning that both spouses are required to, the husband giving her the expenditures he's obliged to, and the wife giving herself to him and obeying him concerning his rights therein, without intentional delays or displaying resentment. Let's go to 228. And the divorced women. Are we talking about marriage or divorced women? Sounds like we're not talking about marriage at all. Talking about divorced women. Okay. Should keep themselves from having sex with men. Okay. 3 menstruations. So they have to be... All right. It's not lawful for them to hide what Allah has created in their wombs. Okay. So they shouldn't hide that they shouldn't have sex with anyone. And if they're pregnant, they have to reveal it. That's what they're saying. And it'll be more right for their husbands to bring them back when in this state if they desire reconciliation. And they have rights similar to the one over them in fairness. Wait, the rights of the wife who has to return. It says they have rights similar. Whoa. How does this work? I mean, they've just been divorced. And this is just nutty. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how do they use marriage, something in Sharia about marriage and go straight to divorce to say this is about marriage. This is not at all about marriage. This is about divorce. Well, they gotta fool the Muslim. Again, this is written to Muslims. It's not trying to fool me or you. Okay. Well, they don't think Muslims can read. Oh. Well, Muhammad couldn't read, so I guess they don't expect Muslims to read. I don't know. M10.2. It's unlawful for a man to house 2 wives in the same lodging unless they both agree. I went and looked for this one too. I was surprised. I was really surprised. All right. Here we go. It's narrated from Aisha. If I were to command anyone to prostrate to anyone else, I would have commanded women to prostrate to their husbands. If a man were to command his wife to move something from a red mountain to a black mountain and from a black mountain to a red mountain, her duty is simply to obey him. So she's a pack mule. She does what she's told. Abu Umama, this is from Mishkat al-Masabi, told that the Prophet used to say, after fear of God, a believer gains nothing better for him than a good wife who obeys him. If he gives her a command, pleases him, if he looks at her is true to him if he adjures her to do something, and is sincere towards him regarding her person and his property if he is absent. Oh, she must obey him absolutely every little bit. Really. I mean, she's going to move something from this mountain to that mountain simply because he said it. She's not allowed to use this. Wait a minute. That's heavy. Your lazy butt can go do that. Sorry. No, I want you to drive the camel from this mountain to that mountain and then drive it back. Oh. Then I want you to put a pack on your back. You know, that's a 200-pound pack. I want you to carry that 200-pound pack, go from this mountain to that mountain, and then come back. I'll see you for dinner. Whoa. This is... They want that obedience level. This is shocking. Now, if you notice, I'm pulling in Da'if as well as Sahih type hadith. And I'm doing that more so now because if you read the Shariah, you will find they constantly cite Da'if hadith. Whoa, quite a statement. How about this one? Permitting one's wife to leave the house. Notice the first statement here. There is no Quran, there's no Arabic. So this is all a note. A husband may permit his wife to leave the house for a lesson in sacred law, for a lesson in Sharia, for invocation, for this is prayer, okay, to see her female friends, or to go to any place in the town. A woman may not leave the city without her husband or a member of her marriageable kin accompanying her, unless the journey is obligatory, like the Hajj. So she can't go any place without permission. She can't go any place without her husband unless it's obligatory. So she has to go to the hospital because the doctor said she has to be here at this point. She has to go to the doctor here or there. She has to leave town. But again, she can't do this unless her husband's willing to go with her or unless some unmarriageable kin, like a dad, takes her there. Or her child. This is... I don't know how many women would like to live like this. It's unlawful for her to travel otherwise and unlawful for her husband to allow her to. So if the husband allows her to go, this is the point to keep thinking about it. If he allows her to go, he is in trouble too. Keep this in your mind. So do you want your wife to get you in trouble? The answer is no. That's where they're going to take this there. Modern scholars will. And I will prove that shortly. All right, M10.4. The husband may forbid his wife to leave the home because the hadith related by Bahaki, the prophet, said, it is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah and the last day to allow someone into her husband's house if he is opposed or to go out if he is averse. But if one of her relatives dies, it's preferable to let her leave to visit them. It's preferable. So if her relatives die and she's not allowed to go, who's in trouble? So if the husband looks bad, then it's okay. She can go. But if he doesn't look bad, he can tell her what to do. All right. They can probably argue. Again, this whole thing is just, it looks bad no matter how you put it. It's just too much controlling. I kind of was mind-numbed by this to think that somebody would get married and accept this, or someone would walk into this accepting this. Now, I have run into Hispanic culture where the woman will call the husband and say, look, I want to go out with my friends, and she'll basically ask permission. But the way the tradition works today is it's basically like an information. I'm going out. I want to go out with my friends. And the way it's communicated, it sounds like she's asking for permission. And this is, again, the Spanish culture. I'm personally observing and seeing this. And I talked to the person I heard that from the first time I heard it. And she's like, well, in our culture, you're supposed to ask permission, but the way it works is basically it's not just asking permission. It's more, you're keeping your husband aware of where you are. And, you're showing deference. This, however, is control. There's a difference. So she's expected to do whatever he says. She's not supposed to go anyplace. This is the thing that would be a problem. She couldn't even go to work, if you think about it. All right, so let's play this one. She leaves the house without permission. Let's see what Dr. Muhammad Salah and John Fountain say. And cannot believe this is happening.
Unparalleled wet to dry styling.
Sorry.
Sheikh, what about, subhanAllah, we get a lot of messages, especially in the West, where the wife actually leaves the house, without the husband's permission. And even sometimes very late at night. Maybe they go to their parents' house, it's very late at night, and the husband's not very happy about this. And they keep using the excuse, I'm going to see my mother, I'm going to see my parents. Are they allowed to just leave the house anytime?
The two things of letting people in or going out should be with the coordination of the husband and his approval. Why? Because he's a man in charge. Yani, Fatima, who's Fatima? She's the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Two incidents happened. One, when Amr ibn al-As came and he wanted to ask Fatima about something, but Ali was not home. So he came once, twice, and 3 times. Then when he finally met Ali, he said, why didn't you ask her directly? He said, because we were forbidden from entering somebody's house without the permission of the husband.
SubhanAllah.
Secondly, Fatima was sick, was expiring. Abu Bakr, her father, came to visit her. So he sought permission because she was sick. Ali, her husband, said, your dad is outside. Shall I let him in? She says, after your permission. Imagine. Okay, now the husband is not misusing this power of authority. And he's banning her from going to the classes or continuing her education or going to the doctor or to the dentist or doing her hair or doing something halal. Okay? And if the husband is okay, he knows that every day she goes to the halqa. No problem. She doesn't need every day a permission and a stamp or a written statement. Okay? There is a mutual understanding. But you're traveling. You're going to another city. With whom? Oh, a bunch of my girlfriends were going out together. I didn't know. Well, I forgot to tell you. No, that's not permissible. Right?
Yeah.
It's not permissible.
Sheikh, what about?
All right. How about this one? This Muwada Malik. Yahya related to me from Malik. And it says, Abi Mulaika, that Umar ibn al-Khattab passed a leprous woman doing tawaf at the house. And she said to her, slave of Allah, do not make people uneasy. Better that you stay in your house. So she did so. A man passed by her after that and said to her, the one who forbade you has died, so come out. And she replied, I'm not going to obey him when he's alive and disobey him when he's dead. Listen, this is the level of expectation of women, even the slaves. They have to obey even when somebody's dead. Wow. This is just, yeah. All right, so let's take a look at Quran 24:28. It says, so if you did not find anyone in it, so you do not enter it until you receive permission. Okay, guys. You don't find anyone in it. Wait a minute. It says after that, you don't find anybody in it, but so do not enter it. How do you not enter someplace when you've already been in there and you didn't find anyone in there? Please explain this to me. So if you don't find anyone in it, don't enter it until you receive permission. Someone, please explain that one to me. I can't figure this one out. Well, Muhammad's just got so much logic working here. Huh. This does not make sense. Oh my gosh. Return. This is purest for you. Oh my gosh. All right. Taking turns with wives. Remember, you can have 4 wives. Unless your name is Muhammad, then you can have sex with as many wives as you want. Oh, okay. It gets better. You can have as many of your sex slaves. All right. It still gets better. Muhammad gets a special dispensation to have any woman he wants. Oh, but it's only for him. Nobody else is allowed this. And as Aisha said, she thinks his Allah seeks to make him happy. Okay. Taking turns with wives. M10.5. A husband with more than one wife is not obliged to spend his nights with them in turns, but may keep away from them without sin. But he may not begin spending the night with one of them unless he chooses her by drawing lots. Whenever he spends the night with one wife, he is obliged to spend nights with others, giving equal time to each. When a husband intends to begin staying with his wives after an intermission or absence, the wife whose lot is drawn is the first with whom he spends the night. All are included in taking turns, whether a wife in her period or postnatal bleeding, one who is ill, or one who cannot have intercourse because of vaginal birth defect. The minimum amount of time for one turn is a night and day. Whether the day comes before or after the night, while the maximum is 3 days. Are you catching this? 3 days. He can spend 3 days, and then spend 3 days, and then spend 3 days with 4 wives? Really? The minimal term for the Hanafi and Maliki school, think about that, is whatever all can agree upon. So you can spend a month here, you can spend a month there, but it may not be more. Okay, the Maliki school is whatever it can agree upon. It may not be more than 3 days. The basic turn of someone who makes their living by day is the night, with the day being an adjunct for while the someone who makes their living at night, such as a watchman, the basic turn is the day. Wow. This goes on. In staying the night, the husband is not obliged to have sexual intercourse with the wife, though it's recommended to have intercourse and share all marital enjoyments with one's wives on an equal basis. I mean, why does this stuff on marriage have to spend so much time discussing intercourse? I mean, I'm not going to say it's not important for marriage, but you're legislating the purpose and intent of almost anything that has to do with marriage is sexual relations. Wow. He's not obliged, but it's recommended. Yeah. All right. Rules for polygamy. And this is Asim al-Hakim. And he's going to give you a counseling session. It's $100 for a half hour.
Marafa Muhammad Sani says, please, what's the ruling concerning polygyny? As it in a situation of matrimonial right when the husband enjoyed one of the co-wives without her owning the shared day. Now, being fair with the spouses or with your co-wives is not something that is recommended. It is something that is mandatory. It is must for you as a Muslim to be fair with them. And fairness is in regard of dividing the time, which is usually referred to as dividing the nights between the co-wives, and in provision, providing them with an adequate shelter, home, and with the food and clothing they need. Having said that, if a person visits during the daytime briefly one of his wives that it is not her day, this is permissible. Mother Aisha used to say that the Prophet used to come and visits us, reads us salam in the morning. But he used to do this to all of them. So if you have, let's assume, 4 wives, and you visit each one of them in the morning, giving her good morning, maybe having a bite, sitting for 5-10 minutes with each one, and this is on daily basis, you're being fair, and there's nothing wrong in that. If you spend more time, like 6 hours, 5 hours during the daytime for a necessity, like taking them to a hospital, someone who is dying, someone who is in need, this is also permissible, but it is highly recommended that you don't do this unless there is a legitimate reason for you to being there. Otherwise, you have to compensate the other wife, which is her day, in that later on.
So this is part of the insanity here. You have to do this all equally, and the truth is, guys cannot do this. All right, you can't. Yeah, you can't. This is one of the horrible truths in reality. Men will not treat their wives. If they have more than one wife, they will not treat their wives fairly. And one of them will find out, and they will get mad, and there'll be an argument. Yeah. It's just the reality of it.
And square.
All right. Okay. M10.6. If the husband wants to take one of his wives on a journey with him, he may not do so unless he draws lots to see who it will be. If he draws lots, then when he returns, he does not need to make up the turns which the other wives missed while he was on the journey. If he did not draw lots, but just chose a wife to travel with him, this is a sin. And on his return, he must give equal time to the other wives for the time they missed. Sound weird? Absolutely weird. He has to draw lots. What happens if he doesn't? Oh, okay. This is Sunan Abi Dawud. Aisha, wife of the Prophet, reports that when the apostle intended to go on a journey, he cast lots amongst his wives, and the one who was chosen by lot went on it with him. He divided his time and day-night equally for each of his wives, except that Sauda, daughter of Zama, gave her day to Aisha. All right. Let me tell you what's missing here. There is a hadith out there where Muhammad heard that one of his men had just picked a wife to go with him. And he did not cast lots. He just picked a wife. And the other wives were not happy about this. So Muhammad threatened to have him stoned. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's just some of these things are just, yeah. Oh, I know. I think it was he took his slave girl with him instead of took her. Yeah. And that's what it was. He took his slave girl instead of taking his wife. And Muhammad was going to have him executed for this. And all of a sudden, the wife realizes, oh, she's going to lose her husband if she complains. So all of a sudden, he's like, well, I took the slave girl that my wife gave me. Okay. And then she goes and backs him up. What do you think it really was? Yeah. You start thinking about it. Yeah. She was realizing she was going to lose everything. So if the husband wants to take this is M10.6, if the husband wants to take one of his wives on a journey, he may not do so unless he draws lots to see what it'll be. If he draws lots and takes the winner with him, then when he returns, he doesn't need to make up the turns, which he otherwise missed while he was on the journey. If he did not draw lots, but just chose a wife to travel, and this is sin, and on his return, he must give equal time. All right, 10.7. It's permissible for one of the wives to give her turn to another wife. If the husband agrees, if one of them gives him her turn, then he may give it to whomever he wants. If the wife later chooses to take her turn back, she turns to her usual place in the order of taking turns as it stands on the day she takes it back. Really? I think this is really too complicated. It's so much simpler to have a singular wife. And I'll tell you this, I'd be too scared to deal with this. All right. M10.8. It's not permissible for a husband to enter the quarters of a wife during another wife's turn without business there. So this kind of goes against things that were just said by that modern scholar. Okay. Though if he stops in during the day because of something he needs, or during the night because of something absolutely necessary, such as bringing her supper, then he may enter. Otherwise, he may not. If he prolongs such a visit, then he's obliged to make up the turn of the wife whose turn it originally was. You think it's going to happen? My bet is no. Yeah. M10.9. If a man marries a new wife when he already had another, he interrupts the succession of turns to spend time with a new wife. Now, again, this is a group that believes in polygamy. If she's a virgin, then he stays with her 7 days and need not make them up with the other wives. If she's not a virgin, then he may choose to either spend 7 days with her and make up to the others with the number of excess of 3 days, or spend 3 days with her and not make up the time with the others. Yeah. Husband can do what he wants. He's the law here. Yeah. It's disgusting. Husband stays with her for 7 days at her request. He may make up all 7 days with the others. Though if he stays 7 days without her having requested it, he need only make up 4 days with the others. He can do what he wants. That's what this is. They don't. So they've already said. Do they dare make a complaint to him? Now, this is a question you've got to ask. Do they dare make a complaint? And now I'm asking that question, knowing the answer, unfortunately. The M10.10. The husband is entitled to leave home during the day to fulfill his needs and obligations. The husband can do, again, what he wants. And then we run into the hidden piece, M10.11. And whoever owns female slaves is not obliged to provide for them. He must not delay them between sexual intercourse and must treat them equally. So he can have sex with as many sex slaves as he has, but he doesn't have to provide for them. He can leave them in squalor. You take someone as a slave, you don't have to provide, is what they're saying. You forcibly take this person, and you do not have to feed them. You don't have to clothe them. You don't have to provide a place for them to live. Yet if they disobey you, And we're only talking about the female slaves, the ones that are supposed to be sex slaves. This is what people need to be thinking about. And we've already said by reading the Shariah that a sex slave can be owned by many different men. So again, if not one of them takes care of them, wow. And then he must treat them equally. This is disgusting. Now, this is where the wife takes a risk at saying anything, complaining, wanting something better. She best not. According to the Sharia, it says dealing with a rebellious wife. When a husband notices signs of rebelliousness in his wife, whether in words as when she answers him coldly when she used to do so politely, or he asks her to come to bed and she refuses, contrary to her usual habit, or whether in acts or when he finds her averse to him when she was previously kind and cheerful, he warns her in words without keeping from her or hitting her, for it may be that she has an excuse. The warning could be to tell her, fear Allah concerning the rights you owe to me. Or it could be to explain the rebelliousness nullifies the obligation to support her and give her a turn amongst other wives. Or it could be to inform her, your obeying me is religiously obligatory. So he's telling her, hey, Allah says you obey me. Okay. If she commits rebelliousness, if he keeps, she continues, right? It says, and having sex with her without words, or he may hit her, but not in a way that injures her, meaning he may not bruise her, break her bones, wound her, or cause her blood to flow. Then it says it's unlawful to strike another's face. He may hit her, whether she's rebellious only once or whether more than once, though a weaker opinion holds that he may not hit her unless there is repeated rebelliousness. To clarify this paragraph, it says we mentioned the following rulings. Both men and women are obliged to treat each other kindly and graciously. And it says it's not lawful for a wife to leave the house except for the permission of her husband. If she does this, it's considered rebellion. All right, so he can beat her. It's obligatory for a wife to obey her husband as customary in allowing him full lawful, here we go, sex. If she's not putting out, he can beat her. Then it says if the wife does not fulfill one of the above mentioned obligations, she's termed rebellious, and the husband takes the following steps. Now listen to these steps. Steps. So steps you would think come in order. Admonition and advice. Okay. Explaining the unlawfulness of rebellion. Okay. Trying to reason with her. Okay. The next step. If admonition doesn't work, he keeps from her by sleeping in a bed. She's not sleeping in his bed, basically, or he's not sleeping in hers. If keeping from hers doesn't work, it's permissible to hit her. He believes that hitting her will bring her back to the right path. All right. If the disagreement does not end after all this, the partner chooses an arbitrator to solve the dispute by settlement or divorce. But there's a problem with all this. This is all step by step. But let's take a look where this all comes from. Quran 4:34. It says, men are in charge of women by what Allah preferred some of them above the others and by what they spend out of their money. So good women are obedient, guarding in secret that which Allah has guarded. Now pay attention to this part. And of whom you fear rebellion. So have they done anything wrong? Well, you feel like they might. You fear rebellion. I think she'll commit rebellion. I fear she'll do the wrong thing. I fear she'll disobey me. I fear she won't listen to me. Then what? Then the next thing. So preach to them, and at the same time, separate from them in the beds and scourge. Wait. Does this say hit? Does this say beat? It says scourge them. We're talking about severe. Okay, look up the word scourge. Everybody should take a look at that. That word is shocking. When you look up scourge, and I'm just going to put it up here on the screen a second. And let me blow this size of this up. This is just going to blow everybody's mind. All right. Let's take a look at this. Scourge. A source of widespread dreadful affliction. All right. A small whip used to inflict punishment. Or a means of inflicting severe suffering. So is this a small hit? No. This is a whip. Could it be a whip? Yeah. You can whip your wife. Now, if you listen to Osama, they're talking about, Muslims will put a whip over the mantle. The woman knows that she can be whipped if she disobeys. Oh. This is what they're talking about. The woman can be scourged. She can be whipped for him fearing. Listen to this. Again, whom you fear. Now, this is my point here. This isn't a progression. Of whom you fear, so preach to them and separate from them in the beds. And this is all these things are done at once, according to the Quran. They are not a progression. There is no progression here. It's all done at once. Whom you fear. There's no requirement she do anything wrong. You just think she might do something wrong. And this is the love of Islam. This is the beauty of Islam. They may beat their wives, scourge them with a whip. So let's take a look at what modern scholars say.
في الدين إذا نشزت الزوجة تؤدب وتضرب ضربا غير مبرح. يعني الواحد مش بجيب ماسورة ولا بجيب عصا يعني ثقيلة وبيبدأ في مرته بوديها على المستشفى. لا، المرأة تضرب ضربا يعني فيه ردع لها. يعني رجل يأتي في الليل فيجد زوجته خارج البيت ولم تعلمه ولم تخبره ولم تستأذن منه ولا يدري أين ذهبت. ماذا يقول لها؟ يقول لها: يا حبيبتي لماذا تخرجين كل ليلة دون أن تشعريني؟ حرام عليك، يعني مش لازم تخرجي، يعني أنا بزعل منك هيك. بتقول له: ما تزعل، انسطح كمان. يعني هذه المرأة يجب على الرجل أن يعظها وأن يفهمها، وأن إذا لم تتعظ يهجرها، فإن لم تتعظ يضربها. لكننا اليوم نأخذ ثقافتنا من الكذابين. من هم الكذابون؟ الغرب. الغرب يزعمون أنهم يعني يعظمون حقوق الإنسان وحقوق المرأة، وهم كاذبون دجال.
Okay, this guy has just said, beat your wife if she goes out without your permission. And now he's blaming the West. Okay, wait a minute. Why are you guys in the West? You don't like your home. Okay. Why? Because it's run by Shariah? No, maybe. So why did you come here? Ask these questions. You're blaming the West. Then why did you come here? I mean, this is the point that has to be asked. And he's like, oh, you're influencing my... Again, why did you come here?
هؤلاء الغرب ذهبوا إلى أمريكا كان فيها ملايين من البشر فأبادوهم. أبادوهم قتلا دمارا. أمريكا كان فيها يعني شعب كامل اسمه الهنود الحمر، أعداد هائلة ملايين، اللي ما قتلوه بالرصاص أعطوهم بطانيات ملاني فيروسات حتى قتلتهم الأمراض. أبادوهم إبادة يعني. وبيحكوا لك عن حقوق الإنسان. يعني الإنسان إذا كان عنده مبدأ فليقتل، لكن إذا مثلا امرأة في إيران أرادت أن تخلع لباسها وأن تتعرى، فيعني تعاقب إيران من أمريكا لأنها قتلت امرأة. رأيت يعني بثا لامرأة تقول أنا كل يوم أضرب زوجي، والمذيع يقول لها لماذا تضرب؟ تقول هكذا أنا أتمتع في ضربه. فالمرأة إن لم تضربها فإنها قد تضربك.
Are you catching this? He says if you don't beat your wife, she might end up beating you. This is a Palestinian Islamic scholar. We'll hear him again. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This is a Syrian Islamic scholar. Abd al-Rahman Kuki.
طبعا أبرز حقوق الزوج على زوجه في الإسلام أولا الطاعة في غير معصية.
الطاعة في غير معصية الله.
إنما الطاعة في المعروف. نعم. هذا أولا، فعليها أن تطيعه في غير معصية. نعم. الواجب الثاني أن لا تمتنع عنه. نعم. أن لا تمتنع عن المعاشرة، لأن المعاشرة أحد أهم مقصد الزواج لأن فيها العفاف. نعم. طيب إذا قالت إحداهن أنه والله أنا من حقي أن أمتنع وكذا لأني أنا متضايقة، طيب أنا بدي أسأل سؤال، أيهما أصعب وأشد، أن يأتيها وهي مع شيء من الكره أم أن تحصل هناك الفرقة والطلاق وضياع الأولاد، أو أن يذهب ليفعل ذلك ليضعها في الحرام؟ قال عليه الصلاة والسلام وفي بضع أحدكم صدقة. فالمرأة التي تعطي زوجها حقه من الفراش إنما لها
He's saying if she has sex with her husband, she gets a reward from Allah. Really? What is she going to get? Someone tell me, please. Is she going to get 72 virgins? 72 virgin guys? No. Is she going to get some special reward? No. Okay. Love to improve that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing according to them, and they're going to reward her? No. This guy is bad.
ثواب عظيم عند الله، وأيضا تساهم في تحصينه، تساهم في عفته، تساهم في الحفاظ على الأسرة. وفي الحديث الصحيح أن المرأة إذا دعاها زوجها امتنعت عنه فبات غضبانا عليها والعياذ بالله، باتت الملائكة تلعنها حتى تصبح. الضرب هو ضرب التأديب. نعم. لا يكسر عظما. التنبيه أو ضرب تنبيه
لمن لم تتعظ بالكلام. نعم.
وفي السواك.
Okay. They're using the word siwak again. That is a da'if hadith. And in general, in practice, it's not used. This is, again, they're doing this for TV production. They're not telling you the whole thing. Let's take a look. We'll go back to this great Palestinian Islamic scholar. There you go. That's her reward, Ted.
الرجال قوامون على النساء تعني أن جنس الرجال مفضل على جنس النساء، يعني الأفضلية جنس الرجال أفضل.
Everybody see that? He's saying men are preferred to women according by Allah. What is Allah? Allah likes guys? Is that what he's saying? Start asking these questions. The way it's worded, you just got to sit there and, whoa. Okay, I didn't make these words.
من جنس النساء ولا ينفي هذا أن يكون في آحاد النساء من هن خير من آحاد الرجال. آحاد النساء قد تكون خيرا من آحاد الرجال، حتى قيل في بعض النساء امرأة ب1000 رجل. بما فضل الله الرجل على المرأة؟ من أوضح الواضحات أن الرجل أقوى من المرأة، وأكثر منها صبرا، وأعظم جلدا، وأثبت قلبا. الرجل يعني لو روح في منتصف الليل من عمل بعيد مع الجبال والشعاب فإن هذا في نظره أمر مقدور عليه، لكن المرأة لا تقوى على مثل هذا. الرجل لو طلب منه أن يحمل سلاحه ويقف في طرف الصحراء يحرس الثغور فإنه يفعلها، لكن المرأة لو أعطيتها دبابة محصنة وقلت لها نريد منك أن تحرس الثغور هنا وهي مغلقة عليها فإنها لا تجرؤ على ذلك، لا تجرؤ، لأن المرأة خلقت للمهمات الناعمة وليس للمهمات الخشنة. المرأة تستطيع أن تصبر على طفل يبكي مريض طيلة الليل، تصبر عليه وتحتمله وتطعم وترضع وتسقيه، لكن الرجل لا يقوى على ذلك ساعة من الزمان. يعني زوجتك اللي في البيت إذا وجدتها نشزت فعالجها، لا تصبر عليها حتى تدمر كرامتك، لا تصبر عليها، عالجها، وإن أدى الأمر إلى أن تضربها لتقيمها على الصراط، فإن لم تستقم ففارقها.
Yeah, divorce the woman you can't agree with. Now this is going to get interesting. Hey, Yusuf, the link's up above if you want to join me. We're not going to... If you go up in the chat, I think you'll find it if you want to join. M11.0, the wife's financial support. Support means financial rights of a wife. Really. The ruling of this sections are not recommended. Again, they're put 11.1 is not there in Arabic. All right. They're telling you they're defining the minimum permissible, which a stingy husband may not lawfully spend less than. Stingy husband may not spend less than. When was this written? Is this of the day? No. Keep thinking about that. Husband's obliged to spend his wife's sustenance day by day. Wait. Technically, the husband's obliged to spend his wife's sustenance. So he's obliged to, it says spend, right? Obliged to provide his wife's sustenance, day by day. If affluent, he must daily furnish her with 1 liter of the grain. That's the staple food of the town in which they live. So their food may be dependent in the area they live. That kind of makes sense, If you live in an Asian area, you're probably going to eat Asian food. If you live in a Turkish area, you might eat Turkish food. You live in a English area, you might eat English food. Okay, that kind of makes sense. By the grain, that is the staple food of the town. This author means if people eat it, if not, then whatever they eat, even if it's hardened, dried white cheese, if the wife asks for something other than the staple food of the town, the husband doesn't have to provide it for her. Too bad for her. And if he gives her something besides the staple food, she doesn't need to accept it. The staple food is what is obligatory. So if he just gives her bread, okay, I want you to think about your area that you live in. What is considered a staple food? What if we said it was pizza? Okay, so he has to provide a pizza for her daily. Okay. If he is not affluent, then listen closely here. If he is not affluent, then he is obliged to provide 0.51 liters of grain a day for his wife. Well, if 0.51 liters, let's see. This is almost 0.4 liters. All right. You see how small this is? 0.5 might be a little about there. Really? That's enough food for her to eat for a day? Is this a generous man? Is this I mean, it says he might not be able to do it. Why did you marry if you can't provide? Just a little bit more, that'll make it. Really? That's for the whole day. This is disgusting. If this is enough food, this little bit here, for your wife, and that's all you give, you are a sorry excuse for a human. All right? That is so little. It just, and that's grain. Then it says, while it's between affluence and non-affluence, he must provide 0.77. If he's not affluence. Okay, well, if it's between affluence and non-affluence, he must provide 0.77. Oh, so he'll move from there to maybe, let's see. Do I have one? I have, this is about 2 liters. Okay. So he's going to give her that much. Actually, I think it's 1.5. So he's going to give her that much food a day. That's enough for a whole day. That's enough for him? Well, again, you're not much of a human. Forget being a man. You left your manhood at home. You can't provide for your family. Get off your lazy butt. Go to work. I don't know how you do it. Find a job. Provide for your family. You're not much of a man. And I will say that over and over and over again. If that's all you're going to feed your wife for an entire day, much less her children. Because again, if that's all she's getting, how much of this is she giving to her children? He's obliged to cover the expenses of grinding into flour, breaking it into bread, even when she's doing it herself, as would otherwise be need for this expenditure, and to buy the foods that normally accompany bread to make it savory and agreeable, such as the town meat, oil, and so forth, such as dates, vinegars, and cheese. If the husband and wife agree that he gives her compensation in place of the above-mentioned grain, I think she's entitled to. Again, these guys don't think. I mean, this food does not last long. This one kind of makes me laugh. All right. And why is this not showing? Oh, I know why. All right, let's go back here. The screen should be showing, and it's not. Oh, I got to add it to the stage again. All right. The wife is entitled to what she needs of oil for hair, shampoo, and a comb to keep her hair clean, and the kind of amount that's customary in town in order to prevent harm to herself. If oil scented with rose or violet is the custom of town, it must be provided. Okay, so she can make her own shampoo is what they're saying here, or he must provide it. Let her take care of her cosmetics, okay? Must be provided, though. Not things which are merely cosmetic and not for cleanliness, such as eyeliner or henna, which need not be provided, though the husband may provide them if he wishes. It's obligatory for him to provide deodorant. Okay. It's obligatory for him to provide deodorant or the like to stop underarm odor if water or soap will not suffice, and the price of water for her bath from the reason for, again, sexual intercourse. It's constant. This is so, they're so lustful. They got to constantly mention sexual intercourse. And then they mention postnatal bleeding. So she's provided a child for him, and again, he's already thinking about sexual intercourse and all these other things, and he's only giving her that much food a day. Scum. And I wanted to stop there. This was a tough discussion for me. Tough thing to look at. I got angry when I started. Yeah, these people are scum. If they're going to treat their wives like this, they should never be married. The woman who decides to marry a Muslim who wants to be treated like this, I feel sorry for you. I'm very, very apologetic that you have picked someone who has no problem treating you like scum. Why do this? If the Muslim man can get away with treating his wife like this, how will he treat his children? If he can take the children away, which he can, in a Sharia court, if the courts allow him to do this in your country, take a look in Great Britain. Watch and see how the men are favored over the women. There's actual documentaries on this. This is disgusting. It should not be happening. But we have countries who are allowing Sharia to rule over their lives. We need to be doing things, informing each other. I beg of you, share this stuff out. Find the Muslim women out there. Share this stuff. I think the Muslim women need to know that their husbands are not much men. They are little boys pretending to be men. They are little weenies pretending to be men. Why do I say these things? Because if they can get away with providing so little, stop calling yourselves men. I'm disgusted. All right. If everything we have read in marriage so far has to be about satisfying the guy, and you're going to provide her so little, that's allowable. I'm disgusted. We have talked about every kind of sexual perversion in this section on marriage. And we've only been in the book of marriage for a few weeks. I'd say about 4 or 5 weeks now. This is disgusting. You want all this sexual stuff from your wife, and you're not going to feed her or provide for her. And that doesn't even mention her children. If you're Muslim and you're not stepping up, blame Islam. Because the Christians will tell you, you're not stepping up, and you're the husband, they'll tell you, get your butt to work. Go get a job. You have a responsibility to provide for your family. The Jews will tell you the same thing. If you don't work, you don't eat. That's part of Proverbs. You better not be eating if your wife isn't eating, if your children aren't eating. I want to know that you can step up. You shouldn't be living on welfare in whatever place you're in. You shouldn't be living off the dole of the country. Your job should be to get your butt off the ground, find a way to take care of your family. I am thoroughly disgusted reading all these reports from Sweden, from Denmark, from the UK about all these Muslims who just simply sit there and believe they're getting jizya from the government to provide for them because they deserve it because they're Muslim. My opinion is quite frank. You ain't going to provide. You aren't going to provide for your family. If If you just expect it, my opinion is the government should just pick you up and drop you back where you came from. I don't care where you're from. You're expecting that money as jizya. If it's up to me, I would be finding you the next plane and airdropping you in. You should not be expecting a free ride, no matter which country you go to. I don't care where it is. If that's what you believe is your right, be thankful I'm not the head of your country, because I would definitely find you. I would definitely put you on a plane and airdrop you because you didn't deserve the ride. We'll give you a parachute, and that's free, but you're not coming back. That's the way I look at this. You can treat your women like this. You can treat your children like this. I'm sorry. It makes me angry. I'm disgusted. You want all these things, and you can't treat your women with decency. And what bothers me more, how will your children follow you? I don't normally go on a rant. It's not normally me. But this stuff has got me to a place where I can't. I couldn't hold back. And I will say this is a week where we should be celebrating Christ and thinking about him. While this isn't necessarily the season when Jesus was born, it is a time we celebrate his birth. Does it matter which day or which hour we celebrate that? Just had a conversation with a Christian about this not too long ago. And I said, does it really matter the day we pick? That's the real thing here we have to think about. We'll meet people who will sit there and argue with, well, this isn't the time or the season. It's more likely around the time we call Easter that he was born. Who cares? Should we celebrate the birth of the Messiah? Even the Muslims call him the Messiah. They just don't know it. Should we celebrate that? Absolutely. Absolutely. We should celebrate the one who was born of a virgin. Oh, even the Muslims agree with that. They agree that he was born of a virgin. Wait a minute. A miraculous birth, born of a virgin, Messiah. Wait a minute. If he's a Messiah, that means he fulfills a lot of prophecies. Wait a minute. That would make him God who came. Ooh. God amongst us. Wait a minute. So Muslims, wake up. Go read the book of Luke. Find out who this Jesus is. There's nobody called Isa in the Bible. There is a man called Jesus, a man who is God amongst us. Jesus. You will find his name as Yeshua in the Hebrew Bible. I dare you, double dog dare you, to go find the actual facts for yourself. Don't trust me. Please don't. I would prefer you actually read it for yourself. Go to Luke. Start there. I honestly believe the more I've learned about Islam, the more I've become convinced that the book of Luke was written for you Muslims. I think that's funny. It was written hundreds of years before your imaginary prophet came around. And yet this book was written for you. Go read it. If you accept Christ, contact me or contact the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. We want to celebrate with you. And I'm going to say goodnight. God bless everybody.